Welcome to Renewed, ladies. It's week 4. It's bittersweet because this is our last session for the Be Renewed session. So I'm excited though. I'm a little bit sad that something's ending, but the sweet part of it is I've been able to connect with you for the past few weeks, and based on the stories that I've already heard on what God has revealed to you and how you are receiving a new confidence within yourself, and I've identified some things that you've done unconsciously. I'm excited because there's fruit, that's being produced from these past 4 weeks. So that's awesome. That's a priceless thing. And I pray that you have literally understood and have seen and felt my heart for you, to see you whole, to see you free. I'm very passionate about empowering women. I love to see you be you and be comfortable in your own skin, because I've realized that we need each other, that it's life is too short to literally be downing each other, or I need you, ladies. I need you to be you, and I need you to be confident. I need you to be bold. And I'm excited. I'm so excited. So we're going to be talking about something that's going to be key to everything that we talked about these past 3 weeks, where we will do a session. You're going to get everything that you bought into, and I pray that you receive more than enough, and these sessions continue to bear fruit in your life. I trust that it will. So you know how I like to start off Renewed. We're going to pray, and I'm getting myself a little comfortable. We're going to pray. We're going to pray. So let's go ahead and pray, and I pray that you are in a place where you can receive all of these things, right? All of these blessings, all of these prayers. I'm sending it to you wherever you are, even in Ghana and Kenya. Ladies, I love you. Lord God, we just give you glory and honor and praise, and I give this to you. This is yours, God, and I thank you for birthing it through me and allowing me to see what I need to be doing now. Thank you for giving me this company to empower women, to inspire them, God. Thank you for what you're doing inside of each of our hearts, because you are for us and not against us, God. And you are here encouraging us to discover who you know that we are. And I thank you. I just want to welcome you in this call. And we just bind every lie and everything that would hinder the progress that these ladies are making and I'm making, God, even in my own lives. I thank you that we are covering much territory. We welcome you in this video today. In Jesus' name, amen. Ladies, are you ready to get started? Because I am. So we're going to be talking about ownership. Yeah, ownership. Ownership is such a key principle based on the things that we talked about in the 4 weeks. And when you own something, right, you literally begin to be responsible for that thing, whatever it is. You literally own it, and you make sure that it's taken care of. You take pride in it because it's yours. So I'm going to give you 4 scriptures that goes into to kind of give you an idea of what I'm talking about, and how ownership plays a key role in our happiness and our joy and everything that we've talked about in the past 4 weeks. Okay, ladies, let's talk about this. Let's get down to it. In Luke 10:19, it says, "Behold, I give you authority." So here Jesus is talking to the disciples. He's with them. He's teaching them. He's equipping them. But he's also reminding them, hey, I gave you authority. You have a part to play in this. Not only am I going to give you the tools, but you have authority. You have power. Genesis 1:28, it talks about God is telling Adam, you need to fill the earth, multiply it, fill it, subdue it, take dominion over it. So I didn't just give you this garden so you can just kick your feet up and enjoy the grapes and the fruit and whatever else was going on in the garden. Adam, you need to take ownership. And you need to subdue it. You need to fill it. And you need to take dominion over it. Psalms 1:7-1, David is talking about, oh Lord, my God, I put my trust in you. So here David is saying, not only do I love our relationship, God, but I know I have a part to play. And that part is for me to place and to put my trust in you. Psalms 8:6 says, you have made him to have dominion over the works of your hand. So again, just reiterating that ownership is a key part of our walk in the things in our lives. We have to become active participants. We have to own those things that God has told us that it belongs to us. Our happiness, our joy, our peace. We have to walk in it knowing that it belongs to us. And you deserve all of these good things, ladies. You deserve it. I talked about perception and perspective last week. And if you haven't looked at that session, go back and look at it because it's key. And I talked about how we can go into a situation expecting something to happen. We prep ourselves. We have these preconceived ideas on how to respond and what we will do in those situations. We then miss the newness of the opportunity to discover something new or interact with something in a new way. Our undistorted preconceived responses can rob us of the new opportunities of the day. I don't know about you ladies, but I've done this. Before I've been invited to places and I immediately think, they're not going to like me. I'm not going to fit in. What is this all about? And because of that, I go into that situation expecting to experience and have that interaction with people that I'm looking so intently forward. I miss the opportunity to meet someone new, to truly meet people who may really value me. But because my own thoughts about myself are not good, I miss it. So perspective is good. Clear perspective is key to us walking through this life victoriously in regardless of what situation and circumstances we in. And I mean that bad, good, or indifferent. I've seen the differences between working with a patient who is down and it's just like, oh, I can't do this, from a patient who is like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do whatever it takes to be healed and to get strength in this area of my life. I've seen this, being a nurse. This difference and this comparison very visibly in my own life and how perspective impacts even our progress. So we have to understand that we have to take ownership of the areas of our life that we've identified in the past 3 weeks. What areas, ladies, have you identified in the past 3 weeks that you have to own? You have to embody it. You have to become it. If it's freedom, you have to embody freedom. What are those areas? What are those areas that you have allowed to just carry you to and fro, however it will? When you think about it, you're upset or you're sad or you're down. Take control over that and own your happiness and say, no longer will I allow you to throw me to and fro. No longer will I be unstable in how I feel about myself. No longer will I allow you to dictate to me how I feel. We have to place a stake in the ground, declaring that experience, that idea will not dictate our lives any longer. Ownership will seal the progress that we have made. Ownership allows me to take control of my response and my reaction to my past. And I've talked about this. I'm very transparent about the things I've been through because it doesn't rule me. It's something that has been a part of my life, and I've learned to glean the treasures of what I discovered about myself in those experiences. But I have realized that I had to take ownership of my emotions and how I feel about myself. I could have allowed the abuse to be an excuse that I use, a crutch that I always said, referred to like, yeah, man, I'm limping because my dad did that to me when I was young. And, I just, people owe me, you owe me this. Or whatever that perception may be, or, I'm never going to be able to walk, man, because, man, what he did back then was horrible, man. And, no, like, no, I will not allow it to have power I will throw that crutch away. I'm going to walk because I choose to walk. I'm going to live because I choose to live. And I'm not waiting for no one to give me permission to live and have what God has told me I deserve. And he said, I died and rose for you to have it anyway. It's yours, but we have to take ownership of it and receive the inheritance, the benefits of being in this world. There is no reason for you to feel like you have to suffer. And here, when God, literally, Jesus prayed heaven on earth. Let your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. So that gives me a glimpse to say, okay, God, you believe that I can have a piece of heaven on earth. What does that look like for you, ladies? What does that vision look like if you, in your life, in your heart, in your spirit, in your mind, what does a little heaven look like? And I want you to take ownership of that and begin to act towards it. Change the script. Change the messages that you normally easily receive a negative against yourself and who you are. Rewrite it. Rewrite the script. Rewrite the message. When that, a lie begins to whisper about, oh, you're insignificant. Oh, you're insecure. Oh, you're so small. No, I'm mighty because the God in me is mighty. I am strong because the one who lives in me is strong. It says, greater is he that is in me than he that is in the world. It is because of my relationship with God that I can feel brave and courageous and even beautiful. God doesn't make messes. He doesn't make mistakes. You have a purpose on this earth. You are here for a certain time and for a purpose, for a reason. You're not just here to be here to take up space, ladies. God has something intended for you. And part of that is about you owning and receiving and taking ownership of all that is necessary. Take ownership of your life. Take ownership of your emotion. Take ownership of your reactions to people and things around you. Ownership requires participation. And that's what we heard in the scripture when he says, behold, I give you authority. Or Adam, I need you to multiply, be fruitful, subdue it, have dominion over it. Participation. I need you to participate in what I have given you. And this is something we see a lot key in kids, and we try to teach our children. I know we do, is to take ownership of the house. Don't just be a benefactor of it. Don't just bask in, oh man, oh wow, we have this house and it's so awesome, and you won't pick up a piece of paper and you won't wash the dish. My grandma didn't even play that when I was young, and I didn't understand why, and I didn't like it just as much as my kids necessarily don't like it. But I knew what she was ingraining in me was to take ownership, that I am a part of the house, so I should be responsible for the things that happen to the house. So when I see a piece of paper on the ground, I should pick it up. And I should take pride in knowing that the house looks clean and feels good because I took ownership in everything that goes on inside of the house. So we have to take ownership of what goes in and out of our lives. We have to take ownership. We can't just say that it's somebody else's fault. You have to take ownership. This is yours. You have the ability to have everything that God has said. Yes, you're worth all of it. So own this thing, ladies. Own it, own it, own it, own it, own it. So one of the things we do, we have to think about that. We have to take ownership over the areas of our life. Just think about that. How can you take ownership over the areas you have identified in the past 3 weeks? Don't feel helpless to the way those areas made you feel. What have you identified? What are some areas that you have to actively participate in? Sometimes we're just waiting for God to just kind of swoop in. And I've heard this speak and preached over and over, and I really now understand it when they say God is waiting on you. He wants us to participate in our own lives. Participate, ladies. Own this. Embody what God has called you to do. And what God is saying is for you. Own it. Receive it. It's yours. I had to determine that I now have the ability to choose how I want to live my life. I had to understand that with a clear perspective, that I had the ability to choose the way I wanted to live my life. I could have continued to have a victim mentality. I could have allowed how that experience in my past made me feel, and I could allow myself to relive that. And then my children would be reliving something that they had no idea. We have to realize that, when we are bound, we can then transition that to our children because they see that we're not happy. They may not even understand why and where it's coming from. So when you embody and own freedom, it is for your children to embody and own it too. You teach them, you demonstrate to them what freedom looks like, and you show them that, hey, this is for you also. This is not only for me to be free, to be whole, but this is for you, my daughter. This is for you, my son. This is what identity looks like when mom is happy and pleased that no matter what, I'm comfortable with who I am. You too, daughter and son, can be comfortable with who you are. You own it, and then they can own it also. Like an inheritance, ladies, like an inheritance. The best thing we can give our kids is to live the best life ever. And I'm not talking about materialistic things. I'm talking about inside out. Inside out. How to be well within our souls, within our spirits, in our hearts, in every aspect of our being. That's the most invaluable thing we can impart into our children. Most invaluable thing. Identify the thoughts that are interrupting your progress in that area. I felt obligated to my dad. And I talked about this a little bit, at Job Corps. I felt obligated to try to maintain or try to piece together a relationship that wasn't there. And it couldn't be there. It couldn't exist because he wasn't whole. So I had to, for some reason, I felt obligated to try to work this out, and he wasn't being an active participant. If you want to talk about ownership, he wasn't owning his actions. He was not taking ownership of anything. He wanted to maintain that perversion and that mindset that he had. And here I am trying to be daughter and trying to interact with him in a more holistic way, So what are the things God revealed to me? That my own understanding of forgiveness and obligation kept me in a victim, victim to his tactics, and it kept me bound. Is there something in your experiences that cause you to feel obligated to it? Think about this. Is there something in your experiences that make you feel obligated to it? Do you feel like you have to be unforgiving? Why is that? Why do you feel like you have to be angry about it? Do you understand that when you hold on to those emotions and those feelings, that you're not doing anything to that person or that situation or whatever? It is destroying you. It is destroying you. So what about that makes you feel obligated to it? What about those experiences that makes you feel obligated to it? Ladies, think about this. Think about this to the point that you are still captive by it. This is deep. This is like something we have to think about. Something that we have to think about, right? Feel obligated to experience freedom. Take dominion over that area. Take dominion over it. Feel obligated to experience the fullness of life. Feel obligated to that. Do whatever it takes to receive what you deserve, ladies. Do whatever it takes to receive what you deserve. Freeing yourself is one thing. Claiming old ownership of that free self was another. This is a quote by Toni Morrison. Freeing yourself is one thing, but claiming ownership of that freed self is another. So I'm going to mix that up for Christian perspective because I believe Christ has set me free. But God freeing us is one thing, but claiming that freed self is another. How do you own freedom and embody freedom? We have to be freedom. and not just exercise freedom. Does that make sense? We have to be the very expression of freedom and not just use freedom every so often and be free every so often and still struggle along when God has called us to be free. We should inhabit freedom. So when you interact with me, you be like, man, that girl is free. She is not allowing anything to hold her back. It is in her identity, it's in her personality, it's in the way she talks, in the way she looks. She is a free person. And I know you have. I've met people that literally have have made a great impression over me because of the way they interact, the way they look, the way they dress. And it's not so much the way they dress, but just the way they behave in that dress, that they know they're free. They've decided within themselves that they are it. They are freedom. That freedom is them, that they embody freedom. When Christ has set us free, we have to own that freedom by identifying ourselves by it, by defining ourselves by it, and by walking in it. Ownership is a powerful tool. It will teach a child not to be a victim to others' actions, to recognize that what others do should not dictate you and how you respond. It causes a child or an adult or even ourselves to realize that we have the power to have control. We don't have to allow things that change to cause us to feel and be shifted so easily. We can be rooted and grounded. The Bible talks about this in Colossians. Rooted and grounded in love. What does that mean? It means that, man, I'm not movable because I understand love, the love that God has for me. And that love causes me to be firm and unmovable in who I am. Another example of dominion is a home. When I go into one of my friends' home, I was using this example with her the other day. I know it's her home because of the things she placed in position. Like you see my wonderful Africa pictures. You come in my home, you know that I love the country Africa. I love the people, my sisters and my brothers. So you will see those things around my home. And regardless if you came in my home and it was dark, you will be able to identify it's mine just because of the way my home feels, the atmosphere, and how we interact with you. It belongs to me because I demonstrate ownership. And this is something that we have to do in our lives. We have to position what matches what we're taking ownership of. We have to position what matches what we take ownership of. If God has told me I'm free, then I need to position freedom inside of all those areas of my heart, leaving nothing undone. I need to take steps to own freedom. So when you come in contact with me, it's all over me. Freedom is me. You can see it. You can feel it when I pass by you. Even if I don't talk to you, you know that there's something different about me because I just seem free. I don't seem bound and sad and captivated by life. I'm living it to my fullest. And that's what God is calling us to do, is to take ownership, to own it, to embody what He's calling us to do and have. It's yours to have. It is yours to have. My boss did a practical example with one of my coworkers I thought was really interesting. And she asked her, what if you won $200 and it was offered at the airport? How would you get it? And the young lady was like, I wouldn't be able to. I don't have a car. I just wouldn't be able to. And there was nothing. And, I didn't know exactly where my boss was going with this. Honestly, I was just like, why is she asking her this crazy question? There's not $200 at the airport. But as the young lady began to answer, she answered in such a way that she felt like it was impossible to get to the airport. Now, mind you, we're in a time where there's public transportation. She can call a cab. My boss told her that, why wouldn't you think about a cab? You can just tell them you're going to pay them when you get there. Or, maybe even ask a friend for a ride to get there and you pay them for gas. It's your money. But it was that because she was and had been had grew up in such a limited environment, even though the money was her name was written on it, if you want to put it that way, she immediately began to shut down and felt like there's no way I can get it. There's no way it's mine. How am I even going to obtain it? And how many of us do that? We can hear a word, we can hear revelation, our friends in different ways, God can speak to us about something, and we immediately begin to limit the possibility that was for us, that that He's talking to us, that He wants us to have those things. And a lot of times, like we talked about, it's based on our experiences. But God is wanting to give you a new experience. And He's wanting you to understand that this is for you, ladies. Everything that you need, He has. And He wants you to own it. And know that if you got to take the bus, if you got to take a taxi, if you got to jump on somebody's, I hate to say back, but just as an example, you do whatever it takes to get what God is telling you should have. Own this life. Know that you are an active participant in it. Don't just wait on someone to tell you this is how to do this or give you permission to live this life. I ain't waiting for you to give me permission. This is my life, and I'm going to walk in the fullness of God. I'm going to walk, and I'm going to receive, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to be healed. I'm going to do whatever it takes to forgive and to be released from these experiences that cause me to feel so insignificant and insecure. I'm going to do whatever it takes to walk in a new identity, to be comfortable when I'm in a room with other women, to know that I bring something unique to the table. Also, I have a strength that she may not have, that she may need, so we can work together. I will do whatever it takes. I will take ownership of what God has given me. Take ownership of the vulnerable places in your life and position what resembles faith, freedom, tenacity, life, love, and possibilities. What steps can you take to ensure that you're not positioning yourself as a victim to do it again, to it again? What does the victorious you look like, and how do you get there? So what steps can you take to ensure that you are not positioning yourself as a victim again? What steps, ladies? Let's start thinking about this. Work this out. This is your life. Take charge of it. Own it. This is your new life. Freedom is for you. Deliverance is for you. Healing is for you. Another key part is acknowledging your part in it. And I've been talking about this throughout, but I have to acknowledge to God that I've accepted the idea that I couldn't maintain my relationship with my father. I couldn't do that. That's not. And that this allowed me to reconstruct my understanding and its roots in my belief system. I had to acknowledge that I was trying to do something that God didn't even tell me to do. We have to acknowledge our part in it and receive those instructions and walk in obedience in obedience to what God tells us we need to do. I have to acknowledge my part in it. I have to acknowledge that I have a choice in the way that I respond to my past. That I have a choice to either use it as an excuse or say no more excuses. We have to understand that where we are in our lives at this point, we play a key role. We can choose to recognize what we have accepted inside of our hearts about ourselves, that our lives, acknowledge that we have accepted it. We have to acknowledge that we have accepted it. Renounce its power to dictate our lives and reposition a solid truth about who you are now. Walk in a new reality. Take your life back by taking ownership. Participate with God. Participate with God. What areas have you felt like you haven't taken ownership? Have you identified a step you can take to reposition a new reality about yourself? Rewrite the script, ladies. Rewrite the script. When you start to hear those old messages, rewrite it. Transform that message to speak greatness, speak true, to build yourself up. Rewrite the script. So ladies, I want to encourage you to be brave, to be encouraged, to be renewed. And I shared on the call yesterday with the ladies that I had 2 surprises. And one is being that Renewed is going to be a workbook that I'm going to be publishing by the end of this month, no later than the beginning of November. I'm excited about this because the tools that we talked about the past few weeks, my stories, are going to be accessible to women all over the world. And I'm excited. I'm excited to be able to release these things to the women. The second thing is I have a new group session coming up called Rescued. I'm coming out, and I'm excited about it. Can you see my cheeks? I'm so excited. I'm excited to hear and see what God is going to do through that session. And you can join me, ladies, on that session. It's going to be in 2 weeks, only for 3 weeks. I'm going to take a break and prepare and focus on finishing some things behind the scenes. But I'm excited. Invite your friends, invite your sisters, invite your daughters to this rescued session. Trust me, you may not think it's for you, but it is for you. You're welcome. You're welcome. So reach out to me. Let me know if you have any questions this week. Is there anything that came up to your mind and your heart that you want to talk about? Let me know your story. Let me know your story. And I pray that these past 4 weeks have empowered you. And I pray that you're renewed in your mind, you're renewed in your heart, renewed in your spirit, renewed in your soul, ladies. Be renewed, be encouraged, and be brave.